Mark, he's not a school teacher, but he needs a board. He needs a pencil in his hand and he needs to write with a pencil. But before he gets to do this, it's rapid fire. And I know this bloke. And first of all, I just want to say, Mark, just give us a headline job of where you come from, how did you get to have the brains to be a doctor, where did you get educated, was your mother and father wealthy to put you through education, how did you get to go there, and rapid fire, and then we'll roll on.
Okay. I'm lucky enough to have gone through university in the days when it was free, so my parents were well enough off to look after me, but they were not well enough off to do much else. There's a few guys out there that are under the age of 30. Just following on from the last speaker, I've been greatly blessed. And God said that we shouldn't be proud, but I think you can be proud of what God gives us, not of ourselves. I met my wife when I was 13. She was 14.
Say that again.
Say
that again, so all these young guys, put your hand up here if you're under 20. Put your hand up.
I'm glad he did that. I was going to do that.
The world says you don't get married, you wait till you're about 105 and then you don't even get married. This bloke, what, is she still your wife? You still got the same one?
I met when I was 13. We got married at 22. I'm not supposed to talk about sex, but we didn't have sex till I was married. I have 3 beautiful kids and I'm incredibly proud of them. So that's my sin of pride. I have a son. I have a son who's 20 and finished his physics degree yesterday, although he's still got a few exams to go. And I'm allowed to gloat a little bit. He went through with straight 7s through University of Queensland. So fairly bright boy. I have a daughter that is 17 and just graduated from this college. Still got a couple of weeks to fire through, but she's a dancer. Any of the people here that went to the Grace end of year graduation would have seen her. She was front and centre dancing at the end at the finale.
She had blonde hair.
She's got long blonde hair. I have a little girl who, very, very quickly, but I have my son, my wife and I had 3 miscarriages which destroyed her. She fell pregnant with my middle daughter, Elizabeth, and bled through the entire pregnancy. So it was a bit of a stress. When she actually had Elizabeth, I said, that's it, no more. Put her on the pill. I used to make her go, ah, and show me that she'd taken it every day. And she fell pregnant. And I went, oh, God knows best. God wants another one. So I sat there and thought about how I was going to cope and how I was going to have to change my sports car to get another kid in there and all these things. And anyway, she miscarried. And it was just devastating. And she had her tubes tied. And I don't think my wife ever really forgave me for that because she didn't want to do it. And I think she only did it because I kept saying, we can't do this. You've been to hospital. You've had 7 curettes in 5 years. You've got a boy and a girl. Quit. Anyway, she fell pregnant 4 years later. So God did know best.
Were you the doctor that did the job?
No.
I thought you doctors buried your mistakes.
There is a local doctor that does vasectomies, and he was concerned that he might have given me the snip. And my obstetrician constantly phones me to see if I'm going to sue him. And I said, what am I going to say to my daughter when I live in a condo up at Noosa, because that's where I'd like to live on the hill there. And I'll be able to say, well, because I didn't want you. She is a true blessing, and she's not old enough to have shown us her path yet. But they're my 3 kids.
Were your 3 kids loved and wanted into the world?
Absolutely.
Were you loved and wanted into the world?
Absolutely.
Is there anyone here, you don't have to put your hand up, but if you weren't loved and wanted into the world, you're not a mistake. Don't go home today until you have a sort out with someone so that you know that you're loved and wanted, because we've got too many unloved and unwanted young ones coming into this world, and that's another thing that we can stand for what we stand for. Anyway, say something now intelligent, please.
Anyway, look, I'm a GP. I did my course at University of Queensland. I did a postgraduate fellowship. I work at a fairly horrible centre, but I'm not allowed to say that in public or I might be sued or something.
Say it.
I love medicine. All you young guys that are under 20, if you can do it, study medicine. It's not... He wants some script, do you? I'll have to see you later.
He also will do the physical for the prostate inspection too. you can all come out and line up and bend over. And he doesn't need a glove, and he doesn't need any grease. So come on, you get a free go.
And I've got very big fingers. Anyway, I'm going to tell you to sit down now because that's probably enough about me. We want to talk about some medical stuff. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, that's good.
Come and tell me when to shut up because I'll just keep talking, and we actually want to have a few questions from the floor.
Just get on that board and tell us about this part here. Tell us about the two heads real quick, Smart.
We're going to do that. When Watto spoke to me, he actually asked me would I come and speak at shed night. And we have a shed night at our church, and there's usually about 8 people and a dog. And I thought, cool, I can do that. Marumba Downs, that'll be 12 people and a dog, maybe a cat. And then he surprised me, and he's got all these people. He's got world champs and Olympians, and he's got these leaders of the nation, and he's got, champions of commerce, and all these fabulous people, and me. And I thought, how do I top that? And I just was telling you, my son is at University of Queensland, and I thought, well, go to the source. He's the guy with the finger on the pulse. So I said, James, what have I got to do to catch these guys' attention? And he said, Dad, it all stops at 14. He said, nothing goes past 14. And he said, think back to our holiday. Now, we had a fantastic holiday 2 years ago. I went to Europe. And he said, think back to the classics. Think back to history, geography, science. Where was it? Where was the centre? And I thought back about Pompeii. And I walked up through Pompeii. It was a rainy day. There was very few people there, so it was sensational. And we walked up through Pompeii, and we came to this place called the Vale de Ford. And there was a forum bath there. Now I start drawing. And I thought, this is where it all finishes. Have you all seen that on a bus shelter somewhere? Maybe not to scale. This is the cutting edge. This is it. Culture, science, history, geography, it all finishes with that for you and me because we're guys. So we're going to talk a little bit about testicles. How's that? We're going to do a talk about testicles. Testicles are sensational. You just thought they dangled down there and did nothing. Is there any women here? Okay, that's good, where we can talk openly. Is there any transgenders? Oh no, oops, I'm not allowed to talk about that. Okay, testicles. They sit there. Have you ever noticed they go up when you're cold and down when you're hot? You know why they do that? Because they work at 34.5 degrees, and God said our temperature would be 37. So they don't work inside our body, they have to come down. Some people that have problems when they're born, their testicles don't descend. They have an embryological defect, and if they don't have their testicles put into their scrotum, they never work. They have to be fixed up somewhere. So our testicles start life up here, right on the top of our kidneys, and embryologically they are attached to the scrotum, and they get pulled down there while we're developing by this thing called the gubernaculum. Isn't that a great term? I love it. The gubernaculum. Now, for really young guys and really old guys, our risk is testicular cancer. Well, one of our risks. So we need to know what they actually feel like. They're basically round, if you haven't checked before. They have a bit, and if we look at them from the side, they have a bit on the top, and that's called the epididymis. Now, everything in medicine has to have a great name. So we have seminiferous tubercles attached to these things called ductuli efferentes, go up here, connect to the epididymis, goes off to the vas deferens. Trucky terms. Balls, tubing. So, when you feel your nuts, you've got to make sure that they're roughly the same size. Sometimes they're a little bit different. If you check carefully, you'll find one is slightly different always to the other side. We're looking at it from the side. There's always a bit of a thickening on the top. That's called the epididymis, and that should be there. If there's a gross difference in size or how they feel or that they look different or they've changed from last month, you need to go to your doctors. Now, we're going to talk a whole lot of generalisations today. So anything that I say that you think, whoops, go and talk to your doc, all right? Because we don't have time to go around and investigate everyone. Watto is going to have the testicular and prostate exam for us publicly later just to show you how to do it. But go to your doctors, all right? That's the take-home message. My best mate at uni used to yell out from right down the back, because he always had all the babes with him. What's the take-home message? So if you need a take-home message for today, it's go to your doctors if anything sparks a little question mark up here. Testicles don't sit side by side. There's always one lower than the other. You know why that's that? It's usually the right one that's lower, but not always, and it's so that when you cross your legs, you don't knacker yourself. It's true. That's why it's there for. And because it started life up here, you know when you get hit by a cricket ball? I used to play cricket in the good old days, and one of my claims to fame was I actually got to open against Craig McDermott. Some of the older people will remember Craig McDermott. And Craig got me right in the girlies. And my pain wasn't here, it was up there. So embryologically, pains up here come from our nuts as well. So any pain in here, any problems with our testicles, we're going to the doctors. Testicles actually, they also have to be stirred. If you sit and watch them really carefully, you say this to women, go home and watch your husband while he's asleep, and his testicles move, the skin creeps around. It's got a thing called a dartos muscle, which creeps and moves the testicle. It has another muscle on the inside of our leg, so if you scratch it with something sharp, it jumps up. You can try this, sneak up on your friends. No, don't do that.